Just check if you speak.
Yeah. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om. Gata Sangasya Muktasya Jnanavastita Chetasaha Yajnaya Charatat Karma Samagram Praviliyate. Usually, when we see this verse, we think of two things, our mind and body. When we say this sloka, we are saying that our mind and body are two different parts. Everybody has a mind, which is common. But each and every single person has a different body to that common mind. A mind is also different from person to person. That is why thoughts that come out of the mind are different from people. For example, when you see an object, different people are reminded of different things, right? What we need to do to make ourselves unique is to focus on our actions and make sure that we free ourselves from our body and the negative thoughts that originate from our mind. So, in the end, we will only be left with positive thoughts and we can proceed towards self-realization. Now, what is self-realization? Self-realization is a state where you take up every action to your own potential without getting pulled down by the result of the action. We are in a state of transcendence, or a state of mind where you brush off materialistic things and start to see the true goals of your life. We stop looking for the fruit of things and start seeing if what we are doing can be of use for others. We realize that not everything in the world has to benefit us to be useful. A person who has reached self-realization will not have any kind of attachment to material things and will solely be focused on doing the right thing. He will be a person with a lot of jnana, or knowledge. This verse is relating to a person who gives up attachment to objects just to surrender him or herself for the needs of others. One's mind is being entirely engrossed in Atma Tattva, which is the attachment to worldly things that has been withdrawn. So automatically, concepts like a lavish lifestyle are abandoned and one lives their life in such a way that every action that they perform is a yajna, or an offering to the Lord. For example, the words Gata Sangasya means being free from the desire for rewards, being devoid of any kind of attachment to any worldly object or action. The word Muktasya means being free from the excess pride in one's achievements or appearance. The liberation, or having no bondage over the object or the action. It also implies being liberated from your insecurities. Just like you borrow a pencil, a chair, or a desk, it is not yours to begin with. It is the teacher's or the school's respectively. Getting over calling something yours is what this word signifies. The word Jnanavastita Chetasaha means one who makes peace with the living presence inside the heart. Knowledge, completely sinking yourself in this kind of knowledge is what this word stands for. We mainly focus upon obtaining knowledge. We do not think about the fruit of our hard work, but rather what we have retained after we learn. Yajna means sacrifice. If we do any kind of action with this kind of an attitude, then the offerings will dissolve all of your problems. For example, when you go to school tomorrow and someone is being rude to you, the action is still going to stay with you until the next time you meet them. When you meet them the next time, you will have a certain detachment regarding that specific person. Because he or she upsets you, they're not exactly on your favorite list. This feeling does not dissolve your problem, rather it adds on to your list. On the other hand, if we can not get bothered by this fact and not have an ill feeling towards that person, then we will not be pulling ourselves down. When we do an action with an aim of only getting knowledge, then the action will not affect you in a negative way. The negative aspects will also dissolve because of your positive approach. If I go to school, or an adult goes to work, we should not be attached to the action, but we should rather be doing it to the best of our ability, or because we should be doing it from the goodness of our hearts. Suppose I go to school tomorrow and my teacher assigns me an assessment. I say I will sit down and I will finish it. But there are two ways I can finish this assessment. One, I can sit down and slack off and hand in a bad paper. Or, two, I can put my foot down and put it to my full potential. I can hand in a paper where I feel as if I put everything in, everything I knew, so that that paper is successful. If this applies to anybody, suppose an adult goes for a job offering. If they approach that job offering with the latter kind of attitude that I mentioned before, then they do not think about their salaries or the praise that they're going to get from their companies or boss, but rather the happiness that they did something by themselves. They thought of themselves as a whole rather than them as an individual. When I read the words jnana vasita chetasaha, I thought to myself, how am I going to relate this phrase to me? I am part of an organization called Art Speaks for Autism. In this organization, we raise money for children with autism and support St. Peter's Hospital, as we are affiliated with them, and help the children under that department. Recently, we held a big performance in January of 2014, and we raised $24,000. When we finished that program, we sat down and discussed the pros and the cons of our show. Each and every single one of us mentioned that we raised the money for a very good cause. At the end of the day, it didn't matter how many people came to the show or how many people congratulated us on putting up a phenomenal show. We've held book drives, garage sales, but we do things because it helps others. It helps us make a difference in a child's life, even if it's a small change. After all, every penny counts, right? We formed this organization so that people understand children with autism better. We did it to spread awareness. And because of these fundraisers, we have gained positive outlooks in this case. Most of us know that our mind is centered around knowledge. When we are studying for our SATs, we shouldn't study because we need to get a 2400 out of a 2400. We should study it because we will gain more expertise in that field. If we have prepared well, not only will we get a high score, but we will also understand the topic, leading us to retain the facts gained for a very, very long time. When you are taking a test, you do not look at the person sitting next to you or what the teacher is wearing, but you purely focus yourself on the task at hand. All you have to do is to change your motives on the actions applied. Take why I'm standing in front of you right here. While registering for the Gita competition in the category of the Gita talk about a week ago, I joined the category thinking, oh, it'll be much easier than memorizing 6 chapters or 47 verses back and forth. But then my mom sat me down and told me, winning is not the most prized possession here. It is learning and changing your views on things that we encounter in our everyday lives. So if you go up there and give your speech, then not only are you gaining confidence in your public speaking skills, but wholeheartedly you will understand the meaning of an important verse in the Gita. That was when I understood. If I win or lose today, I have started to look at different circumstances in different perspectives. Now I am practicing to focus my mind on obtaining skills in different conditions. Moving on to the next half of this verse. Yajna acharata karma is talking about the dedicated action. When you're writing SATs, you aren't thinking about what am I going to get on this test. No, your center of attention is to finish that portion of the test in the given time, right? The action you're doing is very pure. It doesn't have a scheme or a plot behind it. Doing the actions this way will help the samagna, or the process of the dissolving of the problems. There's a concept called vasana, which vasana is all of our habits in one single word. The habits you are born with as a newborn, the ones that you have inherited genetically from your parents. And then there are the habits that you develop as a child, a toddler, a teenager, and finally as an adult. Your habits keep growing as you grow older and older. Sometimes, many of the impressions are based upon our actions. Sometimes they come out negatively, and negative approach will pull us down. But if you approach these actions with better impressions, then negative impressions will be suppressed, leaving you with happiness or bliss. This is being explained in the second part of the verse. Pravilyate is dissolving. When you do an action purely because you want to gain more knowledge, it'll be considered as a yajna, or an offering like I mentioned before. The definition of this word is a combination of both the other definitions. Doing something for the purpose of gaining more proficiency, or doing something with full knowledge for a noble cause, will leave you with positive impressions and help you become a better person, without any negativity pulling you down as you grow older. As I was researching this topic, I talked to different people who also study the Gita, and each person has a slightly different view of this verse. I incorporated all of their ideas by collaborating with them and sharing my ideas to come up with a final understanding of this sloka. I have been able to understand the knowledge and the wisdom that has been passed, and I had the opportunity of describing them while doing this Gita talk. Just like the saying, easier said than done, confronting yourself about reaching this state is much more difficult than you think it is. Thank you.
How old are you, Manaswini?
I'm 14.
14.
And